The kitchen clock ticked past midnight, its relentless rhythm mocking my exhaustion. I was elbow-deep in dishwater, scrubbing pans for a family that wasn't mine, while they slept soundly upstairs. For 3 years I'd been the invisible backbone of my husband's family farm, a maid, a cook, a field handall without a single thank you. But tonight, as the cold water numbed my fingers, something snapped inside me. I was done being their doormat. This time I'd serve justice, cold and calculated, and they'd never see it coming. My name is Clara, and I married into the Harlan family with dreams of love and partnership. Tom, my husband, was kind but spineless, unable to stand up to his domineering mother, Evelyn, or his entitled siblings, Mark and Lila. The Harlans owned a sprawling farm in rural Ohio, a place that looked idyllic but was a prison of endless labor for me. When Tom proposed, I imagined a life of shared dreams, not one where I'd be treated like hired help. Yet, from the moment I stepped onto their land, Evelyn made it clear. I was there to work, not to belong. It started small. "Clara, dear, could you help with the dishes?" Evelyn would ask, her smile sharp as a blade. Soon it was cooking breakfast for 10, mending fences, and hauling hay bales in the blistering sun. Mark would bark orders like I was his servant, while Lila lounged on the porch, sipping lemonade and critiquing my efforts. Tom, bless his heart, would mumble apologies but never intervened. "It's just how they are," he'd say, as if that excused the calluses on my hands or the ache in my soul. I swallowed my pride, thinking love meant sacrifice. But sacrifice has limits, and I'd reached mine. The farm was their kingdom, and I was their peasant. They'd host lavish dinners for neighbors, boasting about their family legacy, while I slaved in the kitchen unseen. Once I overheard Evelyn tell a guest, "Clara's so good at cleaning, so natural." A natural. As if I'd been born to scrub their floors. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my anger simmering into something sharper. Resolve. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to teach them a lesson they'd never forget. The plan took shape over weeks, meticulous and quiet. I'd always been good with numbers, a skill the Harlans never valued. They didn't know I'd been keeping records, every hour I worked, every task I completed, every dollar they'd saved by exploiting me. I scoured their ledgers, noticing discrepancies. Unpaid taxes, inflated expenses, and a shady deal with a local supplier. Evelyn prided herself on her business savvy, but she was sloppy, trusting I'd never look. I did more than look. I dug deep, gathering evidence of their financial missteps, all while smiling through their demands. My breaking point came during harvest season. The Harlans were hosting their annual community festival, a grand affair to flaunt their prosperity. I was expected to cook, clean, and decorate, all while they took credit for the event's success. Lila even had the gall to ask me to iron her dress for the occasion, tossing it at me like I was her maid. That was the moment I decided. The festival would be my stage, and their downfall would be my performance. I started small, planting seeds of doubt. I accidentally left a ledger page on the kitchen table, circled with red ink showing their tax evasion. Evelyn's face paled when she saw it, but she brushed it off, assuming I was too dumb to understand. I spread whispers among the farmhands, mentioning how the Harlans hadn't paid their suppliers in full. Word traveled fast in our small town, and soon vendors were calling, demanding answers. The Harlans scrambled, blaming each other, while I played the dutiful daughter-in-law, all wide-eyed innocence. The festival day arrived, crisp and golden, with the town buzzing in anticipation. I'd spent weeks preparing, but not for their glory. I'd contacted the county tax office, tipping them off about the Harlans' financial irregularities. I also reached out to the local newspaper, sharing my story anonymously. The overworked wife, used and discarded by a family obsessed with their image. The reporter was intrigued, promising a front-page exposé. But my real masterpiece was yet to come. As the festival began, I moved through the crowd, serving drinks and smiling, my notebook tucked safely in my apron. The Harlans were in their element, shaking hands and basking in praise. Then, just as Evelyn stepped up to give her speech about family values, I slipped away to the barn. I'd rigged the sound system earlier, connecting my phone to the speakers. With a single tap, my voice echoed across the field, not live, but recorded a calm, steady recitation of every unpaid hour, every degrading task, every cent they'd cheated from me and others. The crowd fell silent, jaws dropping, as my words painted the Harlans as the greedy opportunists they were. Evelyn froze mid-sentence, her face a mask of fury. Mark tried to unplug the speakers, but the farmhands, now wise to the truth, blocked his path. Lila burst into tears, her perfect image shattered. And Tom? He just stood there, head bowed, as the town he'd bragged to turned on his family. The tax officials arrived an hour later, armed with my evidence, and the newspaper's photographer captured every moment of their humiliation. I didn't stay to watch the fallout. I packed a single bag, left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter, and drove away. The notebook, my silent witness, was now in the hands of the authorities. I'd calculated my labor's worth. 3 years of unpaid work totaled over $100,000, and I'd sent an invoice to Evelyn, not expecting payment but knowing it would burn. I heard later that the farm was audited, fined heavily, and the Harlans' reputation never recovered. They lost contracts, friends, and their precious legacy. I settled in a small apartment 2 towns over, free for the first time in years. I started a bookkeeping business, using my skills to help others avoid the traps I'd fallen into. The Harlans tried to reach me, leaving voicemails laced with apologies and excuses, but I never responded. I'd given them enough of my time. Tom sent a letter, begging for forgiveness, but I burned it without reading past the first line. Some bridges aren't worth rebuilding. Looking back, I don't regret my choice. I'd been a shadow in their world, but I reclaimed my light. The Harlans thought they could use me forever, but I turned their greed against them. Justice, when it came, wasn't loud or violent. It was cold, precise, and mine. And as I sit in my quiet apartment, the stars bright outside my window, I know one thing for certain. I'll never let anyone dim me again.